Sound of Freedom is basically Coney 2023. It's a movie about the dangers of child sex trafficking, telling the heavily embellished real life story of Tim Ballard. He says himself a lot of this stuff just didn't happen. Who's played by Jim Caviezel, two QAnon conspiracy theorists, by the way, and has found an audience among said QAnon lunatics. If you don't know what QAnon is, you might remember or heard of Pizzagate around the time of the 2016 election, where basically Donald Trump supporters tried to start a conspiracy that said Hillary Clinton was part of a cabal of shadowy world leader figures who were involved in a child sex ring. It's a very strange rabbit hole to find yourself in, a real kind of where has my life gone wrong to get me to this point if you are one of these people. The creator, Alejandro Monteverde, has distanced himself from that, but fuck me, that is a massive coincidence if you weren't trying to make a QAnon movie, because the opening credits show CCTV footage of presumably real life children being snatched. So you're immediately in that, and this is where it started to remind me immediately of Coney, where you're in that kind of distressed state that these kind of propaganda videos thrive to get its audience on, to sell you on whatever their message is, and ultimately at the end of it all ask you for your money, which we'll get to in a moment. The perpetrators are all evil foreigners preying on the poor who are apparently willing to leave their kids with strangers, while the heroes are all American cops, yeah, America, fuck yeah, who are loaded to the gills with guns and whatnot, and it's very like, you know, white saviory type. The film is loaded with emotionally evocative statements calling on Jesus, like God's children aren't for sale, with dodgy stats to back it all up. At one stage, Caviezel's character gives an impassioned, tearful monologue about how there's a 5,000% increase in child sex crimes because you can sell a 5-year-old 5 to 10 times a day for 10 years. Like, why is every stat that he's giving a multiple of the numbers 5 and 10? Why is it not like a 5,007% increase because he can sell 6-year-olds for 9 years, or even something slightly authentic sounding? Like, everything you say sounds like bullshit, mate, unless this is the first time I'm ever hearing statistics. It's a movie that might have worked here in the 90s when we were like, yeah, sure, our American friends may be a little, you know, gun happy, but overall they're good guys who have their hearts in the right place. But now we look at these things and we're kind of like, no, this country, these elect reality TV despots to power, these guys are insane and we need to be careful. Like I said, it reminds me so much of Coney 2012, right down to using kind of upsetting imagery involving children to kind of get its message across. Its lowest common denominator, emotionally manipulative nonsense that you sense, is using the fact that seeing children being mistreated is upsetting you to con you into giving it money. And wouldn't you know it, I'm literally sitting there going, I'm watching the movie and I'm going, but this is a movie. Like, they can't turn around to the audience in the middle of the screen, and they are making plenty of calls to action. They're like, you need to stop this, almost like directly turning to camera going, you need to stop this, you need to go online and look at our theories. It is almost that bad, but I'm like, there is always at the end of these things a call to action where they ask people for money, and it's always conveniently money that they get to handle. Similarly to Coney, it's not money that's going to like charities or anything that actually helps with the cause that they're looking to support. And at the end of it, then after all this, the credits come up and it's like there's a countdown clock in the corner which signals that a special message is coming. Yes, Sound of Freedom, the movie about child sex trafficking that's based on a true story, has a post-credit scene. What the fuck is this? But then with that special message, the whole thing ends with a fucking weird 3-minute real life tearful message from lead actor Caviezel, giving you a lot of mumbo jumbo about how the real heroes of child sex are the kids involved, which again, like, this movie is just, it's not intelligent in any way. It's so broy and duncy in the way and clumsy in the way that it makes his point. Like, even the way saying that children are the real heroes of child sex trafficking, what the fuck is that point? It's the kind of movie, and again, it reminds me of at the start, like, they're saying how wrong child sex is, but they have an extended scene in it where they sexualize children for camera, and you're like, if you're against child sex, should you not be against sexualizing children for camera? Why is there a scene? Why are you like, it's making me uncomfortable, yes, but like, that's something that you shouldn't be doing. This scene in itself is morally wrong for the movie that's about stopping this from happening. Like, what the fuck? It is so stupid and duncy. But anyway, at the end of this, during this message, it advertises a QR code encouraging people to donate. And are they asking you to donate to like charities to help child sex trafficking? Are they asking you to no, they're not. You have to give money to them, to the filmmakers. What you have to do specifically is you have to buy tickets for people who can't afford to buy tickets, which is never something I've ever heard. Like, that in itself is not a cause. Like, I've never heard of people like, millions of Americans every year don't get to go to movies about child sex trafficking. Why don't you support a family in poverty who can get to go see this movie? First off, like, that's not a cause. Secondly, you have a cause. Why not just donate to one of the charities? But no, the money has to go to you. And it's just really like, and they're trying to gatekeep it behind, no, it's not about us. It's because you have to spread the message of the movie. It's not about like donate to charities or anything like that. It's give us money. And it felt like, I'm literally watching Jim Caviezel act out his contractually obliged plug because he signed up to get a percentage of the movie's earnings or something like that. It was fucking weird, and I watched it with my head between my hands, which is how I watched half the movie. Again, I felt weird like at the time because it's such a serious matter. And again, I watched it on World Cinema Day, so it was quite a full cinema because they were doing cheaper tickets for everyone to come in, and it was working. And again, like, we've got a packed cinema, and there are times where I'm not actually like laughing like it's a comedy, but I'm laughing out of disbelief. And I'm like, I hope people don't think that I think this subject is funny, but fuck me, this film is fucking weird. But like Coney 2012, it'll hoover up people who've never seen this kind of stuff before. So if this is one of like 2 or 3 propaganda movies you've ever seen, like, you'll kind of believe it. And you'll be like, oh my God, this is so serious. I need to help. And the film is telling me how to help. And I need to give these good people money. And like Coney 2012, these people are probably just the kind of people like the guy who made that movie, who'll just get caught wanking in the street a few days later after all that and just turn out to be complete utter frauds. And what those people who support this and who will fall for this stuff, like, and look, if I've taken a little wrong turn in the algorithm here, you'll probably see them in the comments right now. What they will rest on is bullshit equivocation, like, are you saying that child sex trafficking is a good thing and not a bad thing? Are you saying I'm wrong for trying to stop this? In the same way that you got those pretentious idiots when Coney 2012 came out who were like, I'm just raising awareness. What's the problem with that? And which obviously I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but that being a bad thing doesn't mean that you should vote for Trump. It doesn't mean that you should loosen up gun control laws. It doesn't make this a good movie, and it gives me no fucking reason to scan this weird QR code that's telling me to buy tickets for their seats. That's leading to the phenomenon, and this is supposedly true, of there being sold out screenings of this, and it's actually making money around the world and getting extra release dates. But apparently there are empty cinemas across the world because the film's followers are buying tickets and nobody's kind of taking them up on the offer. This was a totally surreal cinema experience that I really, really don't recommend anyone experience for themselves, because while it might sound like interesting and different and just a weird thing to do on a Saturday night, actually, no, it's not. It's just really uncomfortable, really weird. It's like getting stuck in a taxi and shouted at by a conspiracy theorist taxi driver for 2 hours with a bang average movie at the core of it. This was not a good movie. It's an awful message. It's made with cruel, like, twisted intentions at its heart, and it's just bad. Sound of Freedom is bad. Avoid. It's awful. And please, for God's sake, don't scan that QR code and give these idiots your money.